I said firmly. I remembered the next day, as Diana prepared for another TV interview meant to slander me, she never made it to the studio. By evening, federal agents had raided her brother's office. By nightfall, both siblings were in custody, and the headlines blazed across every major business outlet. Corporate raid foiled, CEO's wife arrested in espionage scandal, heiress exposes marriage scam targeting business tycoons, young CEO saves family legacy from corporate sabotage. But the real satisfaction didn't come from the headlines. It came when the investigation uncovered that Diana's prenup violation was just the beginning. She wasn't just after your company, Victoria said, sliding a file across my desk. She and her brother ran a pattern, 7 other victims, all wealthy, all owners of valuable businesses. You and your father were supposed to be number 8. It was a high-stakes marriage scam, carefully orchestrated through offshore accounts, shell companies, and weaponized charm, but this time, they picked the wrong family. Before sentencing, I visited Diana in custody. How? She spat, her designer polish now hidden beneath an orange jumpsuit. How did you know what I was planning? I pulled an old photo from my pocket. My mother, barely older than I was now, standing in front of Chen Manufacturing's first building, proud, poised, unshakable. Because my mother saw people like you coming from a mile away, I said. She taught me what vultures circling the company looked like. That's why she made my father promise to train me, to protect what she helped build. I leaned in, my voice steady. You were playing checkers, Diana. I was playing chess. 3 months later, Chen Manufacturing was thriving. The scandal had sparked a surge of support from clients and partners. Our transparency, our resilience, it had all paid off. The stock price had never been higher. Dad was truly retired now, sending me postcards from around the world, Greece, Japan, Kenya, all the places Mom had wanted to visit but never got the chance. As for me, I moved into the CEO's office. I hung Mom's photo on the wall beside our latest achievement. Innovation Leadership, Alexandra Chen named Youngest CEO of the Year. But my favorite moment came at a charity gala. Months after the storm had passed, I was sipping champagne near the hors d'oeuvres table when I overheard 2 well-heeled women whispering behind crystal flutes. Did you hear about James Chen's daughter? The one who exposed that gold digger scam? They say she's even sharper than her mother, and 3 times as ruthless when crossed. I smiled and touched the ring I wore around my neck, my mother's. They had no idea. In business, as in life, revenge isn't about anger, it's about resilience. It's about building something so strong no one would dare try tearing it down again. That evening, Dad called from Santorini. Your mother would be proud, he said softly, not just of the company, of who you've become. I stared out over the city lights from my office, thinking about all we'd lost, and all we'd reclaimed. I learned from the best, I said, both of you. Because that's what legacy really means, not just money, not just the name on a building. It's knowing how to protect what matters. It's spotting the lie behind the smile. And it's having the strength to lead, with grace, steel, and unwavering purpose. Dean and Diana wanted to play games with our company. Instead, they helped forge the kind of CEO Chen Manufacturing needed. One who knows how to fight quietly, win loudly, and never, ever, look away when the wolves come circling. Just like Mom would have done. Accounting you and your brother arranged? I asked, lifting the USB. Diana spun toward my father. James, are you really going to let her do this to me, your wife? He straightened, taller, firmer than I'd seen him stand since my mother died. My late wife, Mary, helped me build this company, he said, his voice steady. She made me promise it would go to Alexandra when the time was right, and Alexandra has more than proven herself. As for you, he paused, shaking his head, you've proven something too, just not what you think. Diana's composure cracked. Her designer purse tumbled open as she scrambled for her phone, scattering lipsticks, receipts, and a small USB drive I instantly recognized. It had vanished from my father's office months ago. It held proprietary product designs. Looking for a buyer for our trade secrets? I asked coolly, picking it up. That would explain all those lunch meetings with our competitors. Diana's face twisted with fury. She raised a hand to slap me. My father caught her wrist. Security will escort you out, I said calmly. Your belongings will be shipped, after we confirm they don't include stolen company property. Oh, and Diana? I gave her a smile, one that matched the exact tone of condescension she'd perfected. Don't worry about the prenup. There's a lovely clause about corporate espionage. As security closed in, she thrashed and screamed. The room buzzed, whispers, stifled gasps, even the faint beginnings of applause. Board members began to drift toward me with handshakes and congratulations. Employees, those who'd suffered under Diana's reign, looked visibly relieved. My father stepped forward and pulled me into a hug, tight and trembling. "I'm so sorry, Alex," he whispered. "I've been a fool. Your mother would be so proud of you." I hugged him back, breathing in the familiar scent of his aftershave. "I know, Dad, I know." But the peace was short-lived. A call came in, urgent. Diana's brother had been caught trying to wipe the company servers. I touched the wedding ring I wore on a chain around my neck, my mother's, and nodded to my father. "Ready for this?" He smiled. "Lead the way, CEO." As we stepped into the elevator, Diana's shriek still echoed through the lobby, but I didn't look back. Every lesson, my mother's brilliance, my father's integrity, even Diana's ruthless ambition, had brought me to this moment. Now it was my turn to lead. The morning after, I arrived at Chen Manufacturing before sunrise. My father was already there, standing in his office surrounded by boxes and framed memories. "Couldn't sleep either?" I asked, helping him pack a photo of him and Mom at the grand opening. He gave a wistful smile. "Been thinking about her. She always said you had her instincts. Watch out for that girl. She'd tell me, she'll outshine us both." Before I could respond, my phone buzzed. It was Marcus, our head of IT security. "Marcus, Miss Chen, we've got a situation, unauthorized access attempts, and you need to see this." Minutes later, I was staring at my monitor, stunned. Confidential company emails had been leaked to our top competitors. And they weren't just any emails, they'd been cherry-picked to make it look like we were the ones engaged in corporate espionage. "She's trying to trigger an industry investigation," I muttered. Marcus nodded grimly. "And that's not all. She's also leaked documents that suggest your acquisition was illegal. The press is already running with it." Right on cue, my phone exploded with notifications. Tech heiress caught in corporate coup. Family feud shakes Chen Manufacturing. My father looked stricken. "Alex, I'm so sorry. If I hadn't brought her into our lives." "This isn't your fault," I said firmly, "but I know whose it is." I hit the intercom. "Janet, call an emergency board meeting, and get me Victoria Chen on the line." My father blinked. "Your cousin, the federal prosecutor?" I nodded. "Diana wanted to play dirty. Let's show her what that really means." The next few hours were chaos. Diana had already taken to morning TV, flawlessly playing the betrayed wife. "I just want to protect my husband's legacy," she sobbed. "Alexander's takeover devastated him, and now, with all these allegations." She almost had me impressed, almost. But Diana made one critical error. She accessed the stolen USB, leaving a perfect digital footprint. "We've got her," Marcus said, triumphant. "Every unauthorized access, every leak, it all leads back to her brother's IP. And we found something else, emails between Diana and our top competitor. They've been in contact since before she married your dad." My blood ran cold. It was never about love. It was a corporate raid from the start. My father sat down heavily. "The oldest play in the book," he said, and I walked right into it. Just then, my phone buzzed. "Victoria. I've been waiting for something to tie it all together," she said. "We've had eyes on Diana's brother's company for months, tax fraud, shell accounts, dirty money, but we couldn't pin down the source." She paused. "Until now." I nodded. "Do it." The crystal champagne glasses chimed as my stepmother, Diana, raised her third toast of the night. "To my darling husband's retirement," she announced, her designer gown catching the ballroom lights, "and to selling this tired old company for something far more exciting." My father's smile faltered for a beat, just enough to catch if you knew him. Chen Manufacturing was his life's work, built from scratch over 3 decades. Now, at his own retirement party, he stood silently as his wife of 5 years toasted its dismantling. But Diana wasn't finished. Her gaze found me across the room, sharp and glinting. "Of course, some people thought they'd inherit this company," she said, voice raised just enough. "Poor Alexandra, thinking daddy would hand over a multimillion-dollar business to someone who can't keep a relationship longer than a Netflix subscription." A hush fell. Board members shifted uncomfortably, others became intensely interested in their drinks. My father looked down at his shoes, predictably silent. "It's really for the best," Diana went on, mock sympathy coating every word. "Running a company takes maturity, Experience, the right family image. She rested a hand on her stomach, a pointed reminder of her recent attempt to give my father a real heir. My cheeks flushed, but I kept my expression composed. Let her have her spotlight. She had no idea what was coming. Would you like to say a few words, Alexandra? She purred. Maybe congratulate your father on his retirement, and his wise decision about the company's future? I rose, smoothing my black blazer. At 28, I was young for a CFO, but I'd earned every promotion. Not that Diana knew that. She assumed I was just some charity hire kept around for sentiment. Actually, I said, voice calm and even, I do have something to say. Diana's smirk deepened as I crossed the room. She was expecting tears, maybe a tantrum. Instead, I pulled a thick envelope from my briefcase. 6 months ago, I began, addressing the room. Chen Manufacturing underwent a quiet restructuring, unanimously approved by the board. I nodded toward the board members. A few gave me subtle, confirming nods. My father transferred majority ownership to a new holding company. Diana's smirk twitched. The company is called NLW Enterprises, I continued, named for Mary Louise Wong, my mother. Now the glass in Diana's hand shook. What are you talking about? She snapped. I laid documents out on a nearby table. These show that I own 67% of Chen Manufacturing through NLW. My father retains 30%. The last 3% is held by key employees. The room broke into whispers. Diana lunged forward, clawing at the papers with manicured fingers as if she could erase them. This is insane, she screamed. James, tell her she can't do this. But my father was smiling, for the first time in years. It's all legal, he said, quietly but firmly. Alexandra earned this. She's been running the company for 2 years while I let myself get distracted. He gave me a look, part pride, part apology. But the house in the Hamptons, the yacht club, Diana stammered, her voice rising with each word. Funny you mention that, I said, producing another document. As majority owner, I've been reviewing company expenditures, like the consulting fees going to your brother's fake firm, and those business trips to luxury spas. Her face drained of color. You wouldn't dare. I already have. The board approved a full audit, and the police are very curious about some of the creative accounting.